Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone that's watching this video. Hi, we are from Group 1 and today we will be presenting about our social marketing campaign presentation. So let's get started. Okay, now we'll start with the introduction. Next. Okay, so now we'll start with our first ever question in introduction, which is what is hoarding disorder and why we are doing a social marketing campaign on hoarding disorder. So hoarding is when someone finds it very hard to throw things away, even if the items have little to no value. So these type of people, they feel a strong need to keep everything and get very upset if we ask them to let go of these things. So over time, the clutter, the hoarding that they do, it builds up and can take over their home, which make it quite hard to live, to work, and even to stay healthy. So hoarding disorder is a serious mental illness condition that affects daily life and relationship. So hoarding ruins lives silently and slowly. It's not just a habit, it's also a hidden worrying crisis. So hoarding disorder is a mental illness issue that often misunderstood and taken lightly by people, especially in Malaysia. So many people think it's just about being messy or collecting too much stuff, but it actually involves a serious emotional and psychological struggle. So because of how it's shown in the media and about it talks in real life, people with hoarding disorder are often judged, they're often made fun of, and ignored instead of being helped. So our campaign, which are named as Behind the Clutter, is all about raising the awareness and changing how people see hoarding. We want to show that there's more going on under the pile of things. There are stories and struggles behind it, and by helping others understand the disorder better, we hope to reduce the stigma and build empathy and encourage people to offer support instead of judgment to these people.
For my part of the presentation, I will be explaining the main objective of our campaign, followed by its vision and mission. I will also be covering the types of hoarding disorder and as well as the causes behind it. Our campaign has four main objectives. First, to raise awareness that hoarding is a mental health issue. Second, to promote early support before it gets worse. Third, to create a supportive environment for those affected. And fourth, to encourage cleaner, more organized living spaces. On to the next part, our mission is to help people see hoarding as a health issue, not something to blame. We also want to catch and treat it early, and most importantly, we want to stop people with hoarding disorder from feeling like they are alone. Next, our vision is to help those with hoarding disorder live safely with dignity and support. We aim to build a kind and understanding community around them. So, there are two types of hoarding, psychological types and economic or situational types of hoarding. Now, we will talk about the different types of hoarding and the psychological types. The first one is sentimental hoarding. This happens when someone keeps things because they have memories like gift or old clothes. Second is collectible hoarding. This is when people collect things they think are valuable like newspaper or figurines. Next is trash or junk hoarding. This means keeping broken or useless items that most people would throw away. Fourth is animal hoarding. This is when people keep too many pets without giving them a proper care. And lastly, digital hoarding. This is when someone saves too many files, photos, or documents online even if they never use them. Under situational hoarding, some hoarding happens because of certain situations like crisis or trauma. The first type is food hoarding. People store large amounts of food usually because they face poverty or hunger before. Second is money hoarding. This is when someone saves money but refuses to spend it, even on things they really need. Next is resource hoarding, like when people panic and buy too much toilet paper or fuel during emergencies. And last one is informational hoarding. This happens when someone keeps too many notes, books, or files because they are afraid of missing something important. There are a few main reasons why hoarding can happen. The first one is mental health problems such as OCD, depression, or even anxiety. The second one is past trauma, like losing someone or going through a stressful event, so they make hoarding as a coping mechanism. Some people also have thinking difficulties. They struggle to decide what to keep or how to organize. And lastly, many hoarders have a strong fear of letting go because they think they might need the item one day.
Full hoarding behavior by helping them understand what the hoarding disorder is. We will talk about four things, which is the first one is the symptoms of the hoarding disorder, and the second one is the difference between collecting and hoarding, and the third one is the impact of the hoarding life, and the last one is how to overcome hoarding disorder. Now, let's look at some symptoms of the hoarding disorder. So the signs help us to understand of a person with hoarding, what is they are going through and how serious the problems can be. So there are four main symptoms we want to highlight. The first symptom is persistent difficulty discharging items. The second symptom is excessive accumulation of items. And the third one is emotional distress when discharging the items. And the last symptom is disruption to a daily life and living spaces.
Now, I will be explaining the important differences between hoarding and collecting. Hoarders keep items due to fear, anxiety, or emotional attachment, often without clear value. While collectors keep items because of passion, hobby, or investment. They are meaningful, valuable. First and foremost is in organizations. Hoarders are usually disorganized and cluttered, while collectors are systematic and well-organized. Next is about emotional attachment. Hoarders feel anxious and distressed about discarding things, while collectors feel joy and pride in their items. Other than that is the psychological impact. Hoarding is compulsive and distressing, while collecting is controlled and satisfying. Last is effect on life. Hoarding can be hazardous and isolating, while collecting is enriching and socially accepted.
Now, I will talk about the impact of the hoarding disorder. So, hoarding doesn't just affect the personal spaces, but also its impact. First one is emotional stress. So, the second one is health hazard. The third one is relationship problems. And the last one is financial issues. So, I think that's all for the impact of the hoarding disorder.
Here are 3 simple ways to start overcoming hoarding disorder. The first one is start small. Begin with baby steps. Declutter one small area at a time or set easy goals. You can also limit how often you bring in new items. The second one is stay motivated. Make a to-do list and track your progress. Celebrate small achievements. Even one completed task is success that keeps you ongoing. Last but not least is seek for help. If it's too overwhelming, don't be afraid to ask for help. Professionals can guide you, and support from friends or groups can make a big difference in breaking the cycle.
Now, we move on to belief objectives. According to Nancy Lee and Philip Kotler, belief objectives are objectives that are related more to feelings and attitudes of an individual. In order to convince our priority audiences in adopting the desired behavior, which is in our case to encourage people to seek help and overcome hoarding disorder, social marketers are not only responsible in spreading knowledge and urging people to change, but also responsible in instilling the belief and perception itself that the desired behavior is better than the competing behavior. So in our campaign, our goal is to reach audiences who are hoarders or have known a hoarder and to raise awareness regarding this, as well as encouraging them to seek help so they can overcome hoarding. So how do we achieve this using belief objectives? Firstly, we try to convince them with the words that come from our Creator himself, the Quran verses, the Hadith. From our extensive research, Islam provides 3 principles which are against the core of hoarding, and one of them is qana'ah, which can be defined as feeling content with what we own. The principle of tawakkul, or relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on every matter, hugely contradicts with the hoarding element, where hoarders pile things up for a just-in-case situation. Last but not least, Islam teaches us to live modestly, to be zuhud in life. So overall, by reminding them about the teaching of Islam, we are able to plant the mindset that hoarding does not only interfere with their social life, but also is against their religion. Next, our priority audiences might consist of non-Muslim who might not be convinced with Islamic teaching, so we will use the aspect of reality, show them the truth. These real-life testimonies convey that hoarding is not something that can be looked at dismissively. It should be properly addressed because it also affects other people. So by introducing and sharing life stories of people who share the same disorder, we will create a sense of similarity and relatability, which can give hope to hoarders to at least find a community that relates to them, make them brave enough to acknowledge their issues.
Now, let us move on to the campaign summary. I would like to share the results of a survey that we've conducted, titled Knowledge and Awareness of Hoarding Disorder Among Society. For this survey, we've received a total of 49 responses, and participants were asked to rate their knowledge from 1 to 5 for each question. First question, from the pie chart, only around 38% said they understand it well or more. This means most people either don't know or don't fully understand what hoarding disorder actually is. Second question, around 55% of respondents choose 4 or 5. This is a positive result. It shows that more than half of the participants understand that hoarding is not just about keeping items. Third question, about 49% answered with 4 or 5. This means almost half of the respondents realize that hoarding can lead to dangerous or unhealthy living conditions. Fourth question, around 44% agreed or strongly agreed. However, this also shows that more than half either didn't know or were unsure. This is important because seeing hoarding as just a bad habit can lead to judgment instead of support. We have low to average knowledge. Only a few rated themselves between 8 to 10. In conclusion, the survey clearly shows that knowledge and awareness about hoarding disorder is still quite limited.
After the campaign, we distributed a few questions and got a positive feedback from 49 respondents. After the campaign, out of 49 respondents, more than 38.8% rate their experience a perfect 10, while the majority give scores between 7 to 9. Only 1% rate it below 5. This indicates that the campaign was well received and had a positive impact on the audience awareness and experience. This feedback is valuable as it proves the effectiveness of our messaging and confirms that our content resonated well with the target audience. So, how did we achieve this reach and engagement? Our success came from implementing a multi-pronged digital content strategy, consistent and regular posting to stay visible, using trendy hashtags and relatable captions to boost discoverability, engaging Instagram stories with polls and quizzes to interact with followers, sharing real-life stories and images to humanize the issue, creating TikTok-style videos to raise awareness in a fun, informative ways, posting comics to simplify complex topics and make them shareable. This strategy allows us to communicate the seriousness of hoarding disorder in a creative, non-intimidating, and highly engaging manner.
We meet again. Now, it's time for the conclusion. So in conclusion, hoarding disorder is a serious yet often misunderstood mental health issue in Malaysia. So through our campaign Behind the Clutter, we have aimed to educate the public about the types, symptoms, the causes, the impacts of hoarding, and we have also addressed the common misconception and the difference between hoarding and collecting. So by seeing the positive response that we got from our post-campaign surveys, we can see that the increased engagement that we got on social media, we can see how much growth that we got from the active participation of the people, the public, that they showed during our awareness campaign. And that is all from us. Thank you so much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.